Welcome, fellow bookworms, to Tibra's Den. My name is Whitney, and today we have Once Upon a TBR Honey Jar, the May round for 2024, which of course is round 17. And I'm just so excited to see what we're gonna get. I can't believe we're almost half the year gone already. I know a lot of people say like a year goes so fast, but it's literally, almost half a year already. So anyway, I'm excited to see what we're gonna pull. I do have some books I need to get on, some books I would like to get on. I will talk about all those at the end. I have my Genre-a-thon book, which again, I'm just gonna talk about that at the end instead of talking about it at the beginning and then the end as well. Just everything at the end. So we'll see what I can get on to the TBR. Before we get into it, I do have 2 prompts I need to put back. I was not able to get to these 2 prompts in March. The first one was kangaroos are from Australia, so that's going to go back in the honey jar. And then the second one is Dumbo, which was conservation or zoology. So that will also go back into the jar. I do have 1 reward still, so I can use this to forego a honey jar prompt if there's just a prompt that I'm really not filling or doesn't work and I want to get one of my other books on there. I can still use that. I think that's everything. So let me go ahead and set up the game board, flip you guys around, and we will see what I pulled today. All right, we're all set up. So again, we still have our reward. Just a reminder here. If we roll a 1, that's Christopher Robin, which is a coming of age or middle grade or younger. We roll a 2, that is Pooh, which is a classic or comfort read. 3 is Piglet, which is an auto by author or a reread. 4 is Rabbit, which is a free choice. We did roll Pooh last time, so we got a 2, which means if we roll him again, we do have the option to re-roll. As far as genres go, blue is sci-fi, yellow is historical, green is fantasy, red is romance, orange is mystery, thriller, or horror. Purple is any genre, and if we land on black, we do move forward 3 spaces and use the genre for that color, but we also have to pull 2 honey jar prompts. And of course, the genres this year are more guidelines to try to get me to read different things, but the honey jar prompt is the most important, so if I have a book that works for that, that's what I'm going to go with. So let's go ahead and roll and see which character we're going to be getting today. 1. So that is Christopher Robin, which is again a coming of age or middle grade and younger book. So that is exciting. Let me go ahead and get everything cleared off and we'll get started. All right, let's see what we can get here. Shake these up a little bit. And again, we move 2 spaces for every color except purple and black. And the first one we're going to pull is this, which is yellow, and that's historical, so we go 1 and 2. So we need a historical that fulfills the prompt of, let's do this one here. So one of the ones we ended up putting back, so conservation or zoology. Guess the universe really wants me to fulfill that prompt. All right, next pull is going to be, let's do this one. So that is a red. So we go 1 and 2. So that's a romance that fulfills the prompt of, did this one? Okay, so this is Treasure Planet and it's pirates or ships. All right, and then next, we'll go this one. Okay, so that's a blue, so sci-fi. And we go 1 and 2. So a sci-fi that fulfills the prompt of, let's do this one. Okay, and so this is Alice in Wonderland, and this is Red Queen. So I'll have to think on that one. All right. See. And another yellow, so another historical. Go 1 and 2. And this one needs to fulfill the prompt of, Let's do this. Okay, so Not Yours, Borrowed Book. Alright, let's see what we get next. Do this one. Okay, that's an orange. So mystery or thriller, we go 1 and 2. Mystery, thriller, or horror that fulfills the prompt of, let's do this one. Okay, so this is probably one I'm not going to be able to fulfill the genre because it's Al and it's my relatives, a memoir. Alright, next, let's see here. Let's do this one. Okay, so another orange. Let's see, 1 and 2. See if we can get a prompt that actually works with mystery, thriller, or horror. For this one, we'll go right here. Oh, nice. So this is a mood read. So it does trump the genre because mood reads are literally whatever I'm in the mood for in the moment. All right. Moving right along here. Let's see. Let's do this one, I guess. Another yellow. Definitely a historical month. And 1 and 2. That gets us really close to the end. So another historical that fulfills the prompt of, let's do this one. Okay, a historical with a water rep. That's Thumbelina. All right. So if we pull a red, blue, or black, we are done. Purple or orange, we can move. Anything else goes off to the side. Let's do this one. Okay, so another yellow, so that goes off to the side because we can't move. Do this one. Okay, that's purple. So that is any genre. But it does need to fulfill the prompt of, do this one. Okay, this is a good one. So any genre, but it needs to be spring themed. That last one was perfect because it's going into spring. So, all right. So again, red, blue, or black, we're done. Orange, we can move. Anything else goes off to the side. We'll do this one. And it's a black. So that puts us here, and we just move straight on to the North Pole. That does not need to fulfill any genre because it's the North Pole, but I do need to pull 2 honey jar prompts. If I can choose one book that fulfills both prompts, great. Otherwise, I have to choose 2 books. So let's go ahead and do this one. Okay, so this is, again, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and this is Town Outcast. And the other prompt is going to be, let's do, okay, I got 2 here. I'm going to go ahead and go with the cat pick, though. So that works because I can combine those. I'll just choose something with a town outcast, a couple options, and let a cat choose. So let me go ahead and get my books picked out, and I will be right back. All right, I am back. I got my stack of books. It is a chunky one, but not too terribly bad. The ones that I have that are kind of bigger books should be fairly easy to get through, so fingers crossed that they are. First up, though, I do want to talk about my Genre-a-thon pick. So Genre-a-thon is, of course, my readathon, and each month we're kind of focusing on different genres, genre adjacent prompts. For May, I decided to do a take on May the 4th Be With You, and the prompt is to read a space opera. I struggled with this because I don't have a lot of sci-fi in general, especially not like space opera sci-fi. And so I went online and I looked, and I actually had one book. I had picked it up from the thrift store. And so I'm going to be reading A Princess of Mars. This is a bind up of the trilogy, but I'm just going to be reading the first one, A Princess of Mars. And this one, it says, experience the wonders of the red planet through the eyes of an Earthman, mysteriously transported to the soil of Mars. Meet fabulous and strange companions, like the beautiful and compelling red men of Mars and the fearsome four-armed green men of Mars. Marvel at the magnificent wonders of the red planet. In A Princess of Mars, John Carter arrives on Mars for the first time and works to win the heart of a princess and the respect of the warlords of his strange new world. So, I am nervous about this. I don't know how much I will enjoy it, but I picked it up at thrift store and it works for this prompt. So I definitely am going to give it a try. That's the whole point of Genre-a-thon, is to try to get outside my comfort zone a little bit. So that is the first book, and of course this is just kind of extra as far as it doesn't relate to the game at all. So there is that one. Let's see where I can put these here. Then, let's see, we did get Christopher Robin, which is coming of age or middle grade and younger. And so for this one, I'm going to continue on with my reread of the Harry Potter series, and I am up to The Order of the Phoenix. And this is, of course, by J.K. Rowling. So this is the point where the whole series kind of shifts based on the events of the last book. And basically, if you don't know, you live under a rock. Harry Potter, of course, is the boy who lived. There was a dark wizard who was rising to power, killed Harry's parents and tried to kill Harry, but he ended up living. And when he's 11, he gets his letter from Hogwarts, which is a school for witchcraft and wizardry. And he goes, and then he's learning, and it's all about the hijinks and different dangers and such. As he's going to the school. So I'm excited to continue on. The fourth one was definitely my favorite. This is the fifth one in the series. And it is chunky. It's like 870 pages. But it is technically, I think, classified as a middle grade. And they do read really, really fast. So I'm excited to continue on with that series. Then, let's see here, we got a yellow, which is historical, and for this we pulled one that I just put back, and that was conservation or zoology. I went more with the honey jar prompt. Again, that's the most important component of this game. If I can get it to fit the genre, great, but I had a couple that would have fitted the genre as well, but I just really wasn't feeling them, and I'm trying to be kinder to myself and not push myself as much this year. And so for this one, I decided to go with a graphic novel, and that's The Moth Keeper by Kay O'Neill. This one is more like fantastical based. But basically you have being the Moth Keeper is a great honor. Anya is finally taking her place as protector of the moon moths. The luminous creatures enable the night flower to bloom, and the night village needs the flower to survive. So it's kind of, you know, how everything's intertwined, and definitely works for like eco-fiction. Being the Moth Keeper is a great responsibility. Night after night, it is lonely in the desert with only one lantern for light. Still, Anya is eager to prove her worth, to show her thanks to her friends in her village. But is it worth the cost? And yet something isn't right. What happens when Anya glimpses the one thing that could destroy what she's meant to protect? The one thing she has secretly longed for her whole life. And so yeah, I'm really excited. This, like I said, is a graphic novel, and I got this for Christmas. I'm not a huge graphic novel reader or manga reader at all. I think this will be my first like official graphic novel. I have read some manga, but I am really, really excited about this. I've seen it on BookTube fairly regularly, and it's always intrigued me. And yeah, excited to get this read. There is that one. Then we got a red, which of course is romance. And for this one, we got Treasure Planet, and that is pirates or ships. And so for this one, I'm going to be wrapping up a series, and I'm going to be reading Saint by Adrienne Young. I have put this on previous TBRs and it has failed, but this is the month to get to it. So this is actually a prequel to Namesake and Fable, I think is the second one. This is a prequel, so this is following her dad, and it does deal with love. It's, you know, meeting Fable's mom and everything like that. So I'm really, really excited to finally get to this. And yeah, it says, as a boy, Elias learned the hard way that what happens when you let me start over. As a boy, Elias learned the hard way what happens when you don't heed the old tales. 9 years after his lack of superstition got his father killed, he's grown into a young man of piety with a deep reverence for the hollowed sea and her fickle favor. As stories spread from port to port of the fisherman's son who has managed to escape the deadliest storms, his devotion to the myths and creeds has given him the reputation of the luckiest bastard to sail the Narrows. Now he's a mere days away from getting everything his father ever dreamed of for him: a ship of his own, a crew, and a license that names him as one of the first Narrows-born traders. But when a young dredger from the unnamed sea who has more than one secret crosses his path, Elias's faith will be tested like never before. The greater the pull he feels toward her, the further he drifts from the things he spent the last 3 years working for. He's dangerously close to repeating his mistakes, and he's seen firsthand how vicious the jealous sea can be. If he's going to survive her retribution, he will have to decide what he wants more: the love of the girl who could change their shifting world, or the sacred beliefs that earn him the name that he's known for, Saint. So, yeah, I'm excited to read this one for sure. There's that one. Then we got a blue, which is sci-fi, and for this we got Alice in Wonderland Red Queen. And I actually had the perfect book for this, but it is chunky. I had some other options as well, but this one has been sitting on my shelf, and I really would like to dive back into this world. It's been, I think, going on 2 years since I read the first two in the series, but it's definitely still very fresh in my mind. So I'm going to be reading the 3rd volume of the Otherland series by Tad Williams. This is Mountain of Black Glass, and you can see it's very red here. It also, in one of the books, I don't remember which one, the main character came across like the Red Queen and Alice in Wonderland. It's basically virtual reality, but these children are getting stuck in the virtual reality, and so the main character, her brother, disappears, and so she goes into this virtuality to try to find him, but she's uncovering other things too, like it goes deeper, and so I'm excited to continue on, and like I said, this is just perfect for this prompt. And I'm really, really excited for that one. But it is chunky too. This one is 749 pages. So another chunky one. Let's see. Then next we got another yellow. It's definitely a historical month. And then for this one we got Goldilocks and It's Not Yours, Borrowed Books. So again, I kind of didn't worry about the historical element of this one. I just looked for something that was borrowed. I don't really borrow books. I become way too attached to them. So I decided just to go with one of the books my husband had, and I decided to be a little bit more kind to myself and do a smaller book. So I'm going to be reading Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I've actually always wanted to read this and I never have. And so I thought, you know what? Because I was looking at some of his books, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I thought about doing the Anita Blake series that he has by Laurel K. Hamilton. I read one of those books, and I actually really enjoyed it. And so I thought about starting that series because I read one that was more towards the middle of the series. But then I was looking through, and I saw this one, and I was like, yes, I'm going to read this one. So Coraline is about, it says, the day after they moved in, Coraline went exploring. In Coraline's family's new flat are 21 windows and 14 doors. 13 of the doors open and close. The 14th is locked, and on the other side is only a brick wall, until the day Coraline unlocks the door to find a passage to another flat in another house just like her own, only it's different. At first, things seem marvelous in the other flat. The food is better. The toy box is filled with wind-up angels that flutter around the bedroom, books whose pictures writhe and crawl and shimmer, little dinosaur skulls that chatter their teeth. But there's another mother and another father, and they want Coraline to stay with them and be their little girl. They want to change her and never let her go. Other children are trapped there as well, lost souls behind the mirrors. Coraline is their only hope of rescue. She will have to fight with all her wits and all the tools she can find if she's to save the lost children, her ordinary life, and herself. So, yeah, it's way past time I read this. So I'm excited for that as well, and it's nice and short. Then we had an orange, which is mystery, thriller, or horror. However, for this one, we got Owl, My Relatives, a memoir. I really wanted to go with the mystery, thriller, horror route, so I am going to go ahead and use the last reward I have for this. And so it just has to fit the genre. And for that, I'm going to be reading Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Canas. This is another book I got for Christmas. I tried to squeeze it on to a TBR. It did not work. And so now I'm officially putting it on a TBR so I can read it. I am really excited. I'm very intrigued by this, and I think I'm going to really enjoy it. So it says, vampires and vaqueros face off on the Texas-Mexico border in the supernatural western from the author of The Hacienda. Hacienda is another one I would really like to read at some point. It says, as the daughter of a rancher in 1840s Mexico, Nina knows a thing or two about monsters. Her home has long been threatened by tensions with Anglo settlers from the north, but something more sinister lurks near the ranch at night. Something that drains men of their blood and leaves them for dead. Something that once attacked Nina 9 years ago. Believing Nina dead, Nestor has been on the run from his grief ever since, moving from ranch to ranch, working as a vaquero. But no amount of drink can dispel the night terrors of sharp teeth. No woman can erase his childhood sweetheart from his mind. When the United States invades Mexico in 1846, the two are brought abruptly together on the road to war. Nina as a curandera, a healer striving to prove her worth to her father, so that he does not marry her off to a stranger, and Nestor as a member of the auxiliary cavalry of ranchers and vaqueros. But the shock of their reunion and Nina's rage at Nestor for seemingly abandoning her long ago is quickly overshadowed by the appearance of Nightmare made flesh. And unless Nina and Nestor work through their past and face a future together, neither will survive to see the dawn. So I cannot wait to read this. I'm so excited for it. Then we got another orange, which is mystery, thriller, or horror. But for this, we got a bookworm mood read. So that trumps the genre, and basically this is... So I have free choices in there, which is something I pick in the moment, but I can literally pick anything. Mood read is literally a mood read. Just throughout the month, if there's a book I want to pick up, I just pick it up. So I don't have a book for this at this point because I don't know yet what I'm going to be feeling, but I will let you know in my wrap up for sure. Then we got another yellow, and for this one we got Water Rep, which this is Thumbelina. And I, again, had the perfect book, and this was one that I needed to get on because it's part of my ABC title challenge. And so for this one, I am going to be reading The Mermaid by Christina Henry. And yeah, I'm excited for this. This is for my M title, obviously. And this one says... Once there was a mermaid called Amelia, who could never be content in the sea, a mermaid who longed to know all the world and all its wonders, and so she came to live on land. Once there was a man called P.T. Barnum, a man who longed to make his fortune by selling the wondrous and miraculous, and there is nothing more miraculous than a real mermaid. Amelia agrees to play the mermaid for Barnum and walk among the men in the world, believing she can leave any time she likes. But Barnum has never given up a money-making scheme in his life, and he is determined to hold on to his mermaid. So, perfect for this prompt. I'm really, really excited for that. And then we pulled a yellow, which we weren't able to move, so this just goes off to the side, and I'll talk about it in a moment. So then we pulled a purple, which we were able to move, and that's any genre. And for this, we got a bookworm, and it was spring themed. I have each of the 4 seasons in there, and the fact that I pulled spring was just perfect, because obviously we're in spring right now. And so for this one, I decided to go easy again, and I'm going to be reading A Treasury of Bunny Stories by Beatrix Potter. This has the tale of Peter Rabbit, the tale of Benjamin Bunny, the tale of Flopsy Bunnies, the tale of Mr. Todd, the story of a fierce bad rabbit, and an aptly dapply nursery rhyme. And it's all bright and pretty as far as the colors go, the pictures, like it's very springtime vibes. And I just can't wait to read this as well. This is another one I found at a thrift store and picked up, and I'm so excited I can add it on to this TBR. Then we picked a black, which wrapped up the game. We got to move forward to the North Pole, but because it's the North Pole, the genre does not matter. But because it's a black, we did have to pick 2 honey jar prompts. So the first we picked is Town Outcast. This is the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And so we picked that. And then we picked Puss in Boots Cat Pick, which actually works perfect together. So I did pick 3 books that had like Town Outcast feels. And I had Adrienne pick, which I'll go ahead and insert the footage here so you can see what she picked. And I had to hold her because she was already diving for the treats when I was trying to set everything up. So I just picked her up, put down the treats, and then set her down. I was hoping she would help me out because I had already picked my other books, and there was one book I needed to get on that she ended up not picking. So the choices were Alistair Grimm's Auditorium. In this one you have Grub, around age 12, has never known anything beyond his miserable existence as chimney sweep, paid only in insults and abuse by his cruel master. So, sounds like he's, kind of an enslaved worker and probably an outcast because of he's poor and enslaved and everything. So that one was just an extra. I was just trying to find something that had an outcast, so I wasn't too upset that she didn't pick this. So that's going to go back on the shelves for a different time. The one I was hoping she would pick was Lapvona by Ottessa Moshfegh. And this is my other book for my ABC title challenge that I need to read in May. So obviously this is for Elle, which again, she didn't pick that one. The one she did pick is one I'm very excited for and I'm very interested in, and that is The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek by Kim Michelle Richardson. And so this one says, the folks of Troublesome Creek have to scrape for everything. Everything except books, that is, thanks to Roosevelt's Kentucky Pack Horse Library Project. Troublesome's got its very own traveling librarian, Cussie Mary Carter. Cussie's not only a bookwoman, however, she's also the last of her kind. Her skin a shade of blue unlike most anyone else. Not everyone is keen on Cussie's family or the government's new book program, and along her treacherous route, Cussie faces doubters at every turn. If Cussie wants to bring the joy of books to the complex and hard-scrabble Kentuckians, she's going to have to confront dangers and prejudice as old as the Appalachians, then suspicions as deep as the holler. Inspired by the true blue-skinned people of Kentucky and the brave and dedicated Kentucky Pack Horse Library Service of the 1930s, The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek is a story of raw courage, fierce strength, and one woman's belief that books can carry us anywhere, even back home. So, perfect. And I like how even though I kind of veered away from some of the historical, for the ones we pulled, I added in other historical books as well. So that's what I'm going to be reading for Town Outcast and Cat Pick. I'm glad I was able to get one book like that work perfectly together. I'm glad I had an animal pick. I haven't had one for a while, and there's a couple cat picks and several dog picks in there, so I'm really surprised that I haven't had one for a while, so I was really happy to get that one. And so that brings us back around to the yellow we pulled that we weren't able to use. So the unusable discs go to the side, and then I just have to read a book that relates to that number in some way. So we only had one unusable disc, so it had to relate to one in some way. So I decided to go the standalone route. So just one book. I thought about maybe doing first in a series, but I had one. I was eyeballing it for the conservation/zoology, but when this one didn't get picked, I was like, I have to read this anyway, and I'd really rather not have an extra book. So I'm going to put Lapvona on here, again by Ottessa Moshfegh, and this is a standalone, so it works for the number 1. And this one I'm kind of nervous about. So this one I saw at the thrift store, and it was there for a long time, and every time I went, I kind of eyeballed it, and I was like, no, this is months and months and months. And then finally I was like, you know what, like, it's still here, it grabs my attention every time, I'm just gonna pick it up, and I did. So this one says, Little Marek, the abused and delusional son of the village shepherd, never knew his mother. His father told him she died in childbirth. birth. One of Mark's few consolation is his enduring bond with the blind village midwife Ina, who suckled him when he was a baby, as she did many of the village's children. Ina's gifts extend beyond childcare. For some people, her ability to receive transmissions and sacred knowledge from the natural world is a godsend. For others, Ina's home in the woods outside the village is a place to fear and to avoid, a godless place. So that's where the outcast kind of comes into play. Among the villagers is Father Barnabas, the town priest and lackey for the depraved lord and governor, Willem, whose hilltop manor contains a secret embarrassment of riches. The people's desperate need to believe that there are powers that be who have their best interests at heart is put to a cruel test by Willem and the priests, especially in this year of record drought and famine. But when fate brings Marek into violent proximity of the Lord's family, new and occult forces arise to upset the old order. By the year's end, the veil between blindness and sight, life and death, and the natural world and the spirit world will prove to be very thin indeed. So it sounds weird and wacky, which I typically enjoy in books, so we'll just have to see how that goes. So that brings our total to 4,130 pages. And I would need to read just over 133 pages a day to complete that TBR. Now, I most likely will still be rolling over the Iliad and the Odyssey. I'm hoping to get a good chunk read in April, but I haven't been having the best luck so far. However, I did finally finish Shogun, so I can focus on this one over that one. So that might help. I'm going to try to read at least a chapter or two each day in April, so we'll just have to see if this rolls over and how much I still have to go. So that will be added on, and then of course I always have some extras. I've been adding on the group read for Kim at Expedition Through Pages, Tales from Two Trails game. I've been doing that, and so that's generally an extra. Normally I can get whatever I already have on my TBR to fulfill the prompts that go along with that game, but she has been picking a group read and I've been enjoying doing that. There's Allison's Stop and Start Buddy Read from Allison at a Book Break, and of course on a book break, and all these channels will be linked down below, so I've been doing that. She took a break in April for Aurelium, but it's supposed to come back in May, so we'll see what gets picked for that. So that's always an extra. And then I do participate in autism reads put on by Christine and an autistic reader, and I don't know what May is, so I'll have to look and see what that is, but that's always an extra on there as well. And then I've been doing Buzzword this year, even though I haven't really been mentioning it or talking about it, but I did notice that in May, it's a hard one. It's, let's see here, titles that include the word every, and obviously none of the ones I picked include that, so if I decide to go ahead and do that, that will be an extra. Again, so far, everything that I have picked for the year, I've had a book that works, where this time I don't. So I might see what I have on my shelves. I might go ahead and skip Buzzword this month. We'll just have to play it by ear, but generally there's anywhere from 3 to 4 extra books. So yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes. But overall, not a bad stack. Like, even though I have those chunky ones, I was able to balance it really, really well. And Harry Potter is always a fast read. And the Tad Williams books, the first 2 in the series, they weren't bad to read either. They were definitely chunky, but they weren't horrible to read. So overall, I'm feeling pretty good about May's TBR, and I definitely have a nice mix of books. Please let me know down in the comments below if you're interested in any of these books, if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them. Even if you didn't like them, just no spoilers for other people in the comments. I personally don't mind spoilers. And let me know what you're excited to read, like what your next read is, if you're excited for it. If you don't know what to comment, or you just want to let me know you were here, you can always leave either a rabbit or an animal emoji of any sort down in the comments below. I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.